Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know how it is sometimes. You walk into a room and completely forget why you're there. Or that feeling when a name is right on the tip of your tongue but just won't come out.
Oh, tell me about it. Happens to the best of us.
Well, get this. I've been digging into this ebook called Memory Mastery. Boost your recall at any age, and guess what? It's packed with tips and tricks for sharpening our memory skills.
No matter how old we are, right?
Exactly. Age is just a number when it comes to memory.
It really is. And the ebook dives deep into those moments when our memory feels a bit, well, foggy. It's not always about getting older, as many people might think.
That's right. There's a whole bunch of things that can affect our memory. The ebook mentions digital distractions, not getting enough sleep, stress, and what we eat or don't eat.
Right. And don't forget lack of exercise and certain medications. It's like there's this obstacle course for our memories out there.
It really is. And, I have to admit, I think I fall for every single one of those obstacles,
Mhm.
especially the digital distractions.
Oh, those are the worst. It's like our brains are constantly juggling a million things at once. Notifications, emails, social media. No wonder we forget things.
Seriously. It's like the other day I was reading this super interesting article online,
Yeah.
and then boom, a notification pops up.
And before you know
We're
it,
down a rabbit hole of links.
yeah,
Totally lost track of that first article.
it happens to all of us. Our digital world makes it so hard for our brains to really focus. And when we can't
We
focus,
can't form those strong memories.
exactly. It's almost like you're trying to have a conversation while watching a movie and also texting someone at the same time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You can't really be present for any of it.
Right. Your attention is just scattered.
Yeah.
That's what those distractions do to our brains.
Wow. So it's not just me being spacey.
No, not at all.
It's actually how our brains are wired.
Precisely. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Speaking of brains, the ebook goes into some pretty cool detail about all the different parts of the brain that team up to create memories.
It's a whole team effort. There's the hippocampus, which is like the brain's librarian, keeps everything organized and stored away.
And then there's the prefrontal cortex.
The executive director decides what's important to remember and filters out the noise.
And don't forget the amygdala, the one that tags those really intense memories. The good ones. Well, the embarrassing ones too.
The emotional tagger. And all those different parts of the brain rely on this incredible network of neurons to communicate and send signals.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it, this complex system working all the time.
Right. And here's the cool part. Even though our brains are so complex, we can actually train ourselves to use them better, especially when it comes to memory.
That's where the ebook comes in. It tackles some of the common myths about memory, the ones we probably all believed at some point, like that whole we only use 10% of our brains thing.
Oh, yeah. That's a classic. If that were true, we wouldn't even be able to get out of bed in the morning.
Right. Neuroscientists have debunked that one over and over again.
Right.
Okay, but what about photographic memory? Is that a real thing?
Well, some people definitely have incredible memory skills, but that idea of remembering everything you see perfectly, that's more Hollywood than reality.
Good to know. And another myth that I'm really glad the ebook tackled is multitasking.
Oh, multitasking.
I used to think I was a multitasking master,
A lot of us did.
but now I'm realizing it was probably just making me less productive and messing with my memory.
That's a big misconception. Our brains aren't actually wired to focus on multiple things at the same time. When we multitask, what we're really doing is switching our attention back and forth really quickly.
And that can lead to
Mental fatigue
errors.
and memory lapses.
So maybe instead of trying to do it all, it's better to focus on one thing at a time, give it our full attention.
Exactly. And the ebook actually gives some great tips to help us do just that. One that really caught my eye is the memory palace. Have you ever heard of that?
I have, but I don't really know how it works. It sounds kind of mysterious.
It's actually a pretty old technique. Ancient Greeks and Romans, they used it to memorize speeches and long texts.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's all about creating this vivid mental picture of a familiar place.
Like my home.
Exactly. Or maybe your favorite park, someplace you know really well.
Okay, I get that part.
And then you link the information you want to remember to different spots within that space.
So like, let's say I need to remember a grocery list. Can I imagine walking through my house and putting each item in a different room? Like milk spilling on the kitchen counter, and then a loaf of bread just chilling on the couch in the living room.
Exactly. And the more bizarre or crazy the image is, the better.
Yeah.
It helps those associations stick in your mind.
So I could picture a bunch of bananas hanging from the chandelier in the dining room.
Perfect. The memory palace. It's like turning memorization into this fun little visual journey.
That's so cool. I'm definitely going to try that one. The ebook also talks about spaced repetition.
Yeah. Space repetition.
That one seems pretty simple. But does it really work better than just cramming before a test?
Well, cramming might help you get through that one test, but if you want to remember things for the long haul,
Spaced repetition is the way to go.
exactly. It's based on this idea that our brains learn best when we see information over and over again, but not all at once.
So, like, instead of trying to memorize everything the night before, I should spread out my study sessions.
Yep. Each time you revisit the information, you're basically reinforcing those connections in your brain, making it easier to remember later on.
It's like building a mental muscle.
I like that. And speaking of strengthening those mental muscles, the ebook talks about active recall.
Active recall. Okay, so what's that all about?
Active recall is about challenging yourself to pull information from your memory instead of just passively reading or reviewing.
So I should be testing myself.
Exactly. It's like giving your brain a workout.
So instead of just rereading my notes over and over again, I should cover them up and try to remember what they say.
Perfect. You could also try summarizing the information in your own words or even teaching it to someone else.
Oh, teaching is a great way to learn something for sure. So all these techniques, the memory palace, spaced repetition, active recall, they're all about making learning more active.
Absolutely. It's about making information stick. And not just for a test. We want to remember things for good.
Long-term memory. Got it.
Mm.
And, the ebook goes beyond just these memory techniques. It also dives into lifestyle choices and how they affect our memory, like what we eat.
Oh, for sure. What we eat, how much we sleep, even how much we move our bodies, it all makes a
It's
difference.
like our brain needs the right fuel to run properly.
Exactly. And it turns out those late night study sessions fueled by pizza and energy drinks,
Probably not the best for our memory.
probably not. The ebook actually suggests a whole brain boosting diet.
Lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, things like that.
Right. And it emphasizes omega-3 fatty acids. Those are found in things like salmon, walnuts, flax seeds.
I know omega-3s are good for your heart, but I didn't realize they were so important for brain function, too.
They're super important. They help build and maintain healthy brain cells, and they play a role in communication between those cells.
Wow. So it's like we're giving our brains this VIP upgrade when we eat those kinds of foods.
Exactly.
And what about sleep? I know we all feel kind of foggy after a bad night's sleep, but how does sleep actually affect our memory?
Sleep is when all that memory magic happens.
Memory magic.
Well, when we're asleep, our brains are busy organizing and storing memories. It's like hitting the save button on all that information we took in during the day. But if we don't get enough sleep,
Our brain can't hit that save button.
exactly, the whole process gets disrupted.
Yeah.
And it becomes harder to form and remember things.
I'm starting to think sleep might be the most underrated memory hack out there.
It's definitely essential. And it's not just about how many hours you sleep, it's about the quality of that sleep too.
So having a relaxing bedtime routine, avoiding those screens before bed.
Making sure your bedroom is cool, dark, and quiet. It all helps.
I've been trying to cut back on screen time before bed. And I have to say, I do feel a difference.
That's great. It's amazing what a good night's sleep can do.
It really is. And along with diet and sleep, exercise is another big factor for memory, right?
Absolutely. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, which is good for those brain cells.
So it's not just about getting our heart rate up, it's about giving our brains a boost too.
Exactly. And studies show that activities that challenge your coordination and balance can be really good for your brain.
So like dancing or yoga.
Those are great examples.
I've always wanted to try yoga. Maybe this is the motivation I need to finally sign up for a class. So we've got diet, sleep, exercise. It's like a whole body approach to memory health.
It really is. And the ebook mentions some supplements that might support memory too.
Supplements. Okay.
But it's always best to talk to your doctor before trying anything new.
Definitely good advice. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Different parts of the brain, busted those memory myths, and even explored ways to boost our memory power. But what about those times when our brains just feel stuck? Even with all the best techniques.
Ah, yes. Those frustrating tip of the tongue moments. We've all been there. But the good news is the ebook has some tips for those moments too.
Let's hear it. I'm all ears.
One thing that can really mess with our memory is information overload.
Oh, information overload for sure.
In today's world, it's like we're bombarded with information everywhere we turn.
It's like our brains are trying to drink from a fire hose of information.
A great analogy. No wonder we feel overwhelmed and forgetful.
Right.
The ebook suggests some great strategies for managing all that information overload.
So what can we do?
Well, one of the biggest things is being more selective about what we consume. We don't have to take in everything.
Okay, that makes sense. So focus on what's really important to us.
Exactly. Ask yourself, is this information valuable? Is it going to help me learn or grow? If not, let it go.
That's easier said than done, though, right? It's so easy to get caught up in all those notifications and updates.
I know, it's hard. But try setting boundaries for yourself, like maybe schedule specific times during the day to check social media or news feeds.
And avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. Give your brain a break.
Exactly, a digital detox. I know it can be tough, but it can really help.
I'm definitely guilty of scrolling through social media before bed. And I know it doesn't do my sleep any favors.
Right. It's all about finding those little ways to manage the flow of information. And, another helpful strategy is the Pomodoro technique.
Pomodoro technique.
Have you heard of it?
I think so.
It involves working in focused bursts for 25 minutes and then taking a short 5-minute break. It helps you stay on task.
So it's like a little brain workout, alternating between focus and rest.
Exactly. And it's amazing how much more you can get done when you work in those focused bursts.
I can imagine. I'm definitely going to try that. It sounds like a good way to break down those big tasks.
It is. And, along with managing information overload, it's important to find ways to deal with stress and anxiety.
Oh, stress is a memory killer for sure. Whenever I'm stressed out, my brain just feels fried.
I hear you. And there's a scientific reason for that. When we're stressed, our bodies release this hormone called cortisol. And if those cortisol levels are high all the time, it can actually impair memory function.
So it's not just about pushing through stress. It's about actively doing things to relax and calm down.
Exactly. Meditation, yoga, deep breathing exercises, even spending time in nature can help lower stress levels.
So self-care isn't just about feeling good. It's about giving our brains a break too. I like that.
And while memory can seem like a serious topic, the ebook reminds us that having fun is important for brain health too.
Okay, now that's something I can definitely get on board with.
Right. Any activity that brings you joy and challenges your brain in new ways is a win.
So things like brain training games, puzzles.
Crossword puzzles, Sudoku, chess, those are all great. And listening to music.
Music.
Yes. Music can boost memory and cognitive function.
I've heard that listening to classical music can make you smarter, like the Mozart effect. Is there any truth to that?
It's a bit more complicated than that. But studies have shown that certain types of music, especially classical or instrumental music, can really help with concentration and memory.
Maybe I should swap out my pop music for some Beethoven while I'm studying.
It's worth a shot. And don't forget the power of laughter.
Laughter. What does that have to do with memory?
Well, when we laugh, our brains release these feel-good chemicals called endorphins. They boost our mood and reduce stress. Plus, laughter activates all sorts of brain regions, including those involved in memory.
So a good laugh is like a mental workout.
You could say that. I think having fun might be the secret ingredient to a sharper memory.
I like the sound of that. So remember, folks, improving your memory is a journey. There will be bumps along the way.
It's not about being perfect, it's about progress.
And celebrating those small wins along the way.
Exactly. So next time you remember to grab the milk at the store because you used the memory palace, or you ace a quiz because you tried spaced repetition, take a moment to appreciate those little victories.
It's pretty amazing to think that we can actually have so much control over our own memory. It's not just something that happens to us.
I know, right? We can actually train our brains to remember things better.
Exactly. So it's not something we have to just accept.
And the ebook really emphasizes that we have to be proactive. We can't just wait until we start having memory problems.
We have to take steps now to keep our brains healthy for the long run. So what are some of the key things that people can start doing today to improve their memory?
Well, the first thing is to realize that memory is like a skill. We can practice it and get better at it just like anything else.
So instead of thinking, oh, I'm getting older, my memory's going to decline, we can say, hey, I can work on this.
Exactly. We don't have to just accept those memory changes as we age.
Right. So we need to understand how memory works, ditch those myths that are holding us back, and actually start using those techniques we talked about.
Exactly. A little bit of knowledge and a little bit of effort can make a huge difference.
Consistency is key, right?
Absolutely. It's just like exercise. The more you work those memory muscles, the stronger they get.
So keep learning new things. Challenge your brain. Learn a new language. Try a new hobby.
Exactly. Keep those neurons firing.
And, it's important to be patient with ourselves along the way.
Oh, absolutely. There will be times when we forget things. We're all human.
It happens to the best of us. It's about progress, not perfection. And celebrating those small wins, right?
Yes. So next time you remember to buy milk at the store because you use that memory palace technique, give yourself a high five. Or if you ace a test because you use spaced repetition, take a moment to appreciate that success.
This has been such an awesome deep dive into memory. And we've learned so much from just one ebook.
It's been a pleasure.
And if you're looking for even more tips and techniques to boost your recall, definitely check out the ebook we've been talking about today.
It's called Memory Mastery. Boost your recall at any age.
And most importantly, remember to have fun with it.
Yes, learning and memory improvement should be enjoyable.
Absolutely. Keep those brains engaged, keep learning, and keep those memories sharp. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time for another exciting deep dive.